Season 2, Episode 4. This is the Off the Dome podcast, Baller Nation. You guys can probably notice a big difference here. My video quality, I hope, looks better because I spent a lot of money on a camera. So yeah, I hope it's good. I hope it's good. I know it's good. I know it's a lot better than what I used to have at least. Um, yeah, it's like an actual legitimate camera. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much if you're watching this, listening to this, whatever. I appreciate y'all a lot. Goal is 10,000 subs on YouTube before the end of the NBA season. It's ambitious, but fuck it. Why not? In 100K on Instagram too. Or not on Instagram, on TikTok. Trying to get to at least 1K on Instagram before the season begins, like next week, I think. I'm like 60 away. Yeah, it's all good. The numbers will start going up. Trust. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, today I'm gonna go over the first installment of the power rankings on Baller Nation. I go through the top 10 teams in the NBA. I think pretty much the way I rank it is it's every single team can beat. And pretty much, okay. The way I rank it is who's going to win in a 7 game series. All right. So the team I rank third, just because they might not have as good of a record as the team that I've ranked sixth. Okay. If I have a team ranked third, that means that I think they can beat every single team below them in a 7 game series. Kind of like that. So yeah, that's going to be that, and then I'll also give y'all my top five or my starting five under the age of 25. I saw a pretty interesting article on NBA.com. Thought I'd give y'all who I think it would be the best starting five, made up of players that are only under the age of 25 years old. That's going to be guys like Luka and Tatum and them guys. All right, let's go. Without further ado, I also want to talk about the Rookie of the Year award. I also want to talk about the Rookie of the Year award, not because is that a big deal. I just have a few interesting thoughts about it. I think it's personally one of the most overrated awards in all of basketball. I'll start with that actually. I'll start with the Rookie of the Year award. In my opinion, the Rookie of the Year might be the most meaningless award in the NBA as far as like those main 6 awards. Okay, like Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP. Those ones. I think I'm missing one. Sixth Man of the Year. I don't know. Whatever. Out of the main 6 awards in the NBA, I think that the Rookie of the Year award is literally the most the least it's the least important. Let's be real, and it's so overrated. Like rookies should not care about winning Rookie of the Year. Is it nice to have an accolade? Yeah, sure. It's good to get your career started. You got a nice little accolade, but I'm telling you, the Rookie of the Year, when you look back throughout history, a lot of times, all right, now normally if you win Rookie of the Year, you're pretty good and you go on to have a really good career. But more than any other award, the Rookie of the Year, the winner of that award just ends up not being that good in years later. You know, MVP, obviously the MVP goes on and they're obviously going to be always really good. Most improved player sometimes, but most of the time they're most improved player. You look at the most improved players from years past, guys like Siakam and Victor Oladipo, CJ McCollum, James Harden. They've gone on and now they're really good players. The Rookie of the Year award, however, I think is the most meaningless award in all of basketball. First off, I think it should be an award. I think we should credit the best rookie, but I'm just saying it's not a big deal. Take 2016, for example, and I'm going to go through some of these years here. Take 2016. Malcolm Brogdon wins Rookie of the Year. But when you look at the rookies who are rookie while Malcolm Brogdon was a rookie, there's a lot that are a lot better than him. For example, Jamal Murray, Jaylen Brown, Buddy Hield, Brandon Ingram, Sabonis. Joel Embiid was a rookie that year. He got drafted a few years earlier. Ben Simmons was drafted that year, was a rookie a year later, though. But the winner of the Rookie of the Year, a lot of times, does not go on to be the best player from that draft class. That's why I think the Rookie of the Year award is it's almost meaningless, honestly. It's not like it's really not a big deal. Ain't nobody cares about who wins Rookie of the Year. People care about what you do after that. How does your career, how does that shit impact your career? 2015, Andrew Wiggins wins it. Joel Embiid was drafted that year, wasn't a rookie until a few years later. But guys like Zach LaVine, Nurkic, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Spencer Dinwiddie, Nikola Jokic. Honestly, you look at it today and it's like, shit, Andrew Wiggins, I know a lot of people like him, and for some reason people don't want to call him a bust yet. But the motherfucker's a bust. He's for me, he's a bust. I'm harsh on it. I don't think there's been a lot of busts over the past 10 years, but I think Andrew Wiggins is a bust. I'm Canadian. I support my Canadian guys. But 2 of the busts from this past decade have been straight up Canadian. I think that's obviously Anthony Bennett and Andrew Wiggins. Again, go a year before that. A big one here. Michael Carter Williams wins Rookie of the Year in 2014. Guys like Victor Oladipo, C.J. McCollum, Giannis, Rudy Gobert, I can go on. They've all had better careers than him. In 2010, Tyreek Evans wins Rookie of the Year. Guys like Steph Curry were rookies back then. Blake Griffin was drafted in that draft class, was a rookie a year later. Drew Holiday, Jeff Teague, James Harden, they've all gone on to be All-Stars. And again, there's many more. Brandon Roy in 2007. Now, of course, there have been injuries, but Rookie of the Year is not a big award. Just because you win Rookie of the Year does not guarantee anything for the future. I think we're going to see that again. Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year last year. In 5 years from now, I don't think we're going to be looking at Ja Morant as the best player from that draft class. We're going to be looking at Zion Williamson, for being honest with ourselves. But guys, and again, you go back, and it was especially true at the beginning of the 2000s. The Rookie of the Year award winner, a lot of times, just isn't the best player from that draft class 5-10 years after they get drafted. Emeka Okafor, he won Rookie of the Year. Who the fuck? Mike Miller won Rookie of the Year. The best thing Mike Miller ever did, which is pretty sick, is when he hit 7 3-pointers in that 2012 NBA Final game for the Miami Heat against the OKC Thunder. Steve Francis and Elton Brand. Elton Brand was pretty nice. Those guys are nice players, but when you look back 20 years from now, it's not like 20 years from when they won it. It's like, all right, the casual fan doesn't know who the fuck that is. Brandon Roy. Injuries, I'm taking it easy on Brandon Roy. That's another example. Obviously, Tyreek Evans, Michael Carter Williams, Andrew Wiggins, Malcolm Brogdon. Players like that, they go on, and just because you win Rookie of the Year does not mean that you're going to have a great career. I think we put too much respect on the winner of the Rookie of the Year. I genuinely do. I think it's a great accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment. Like, big ups, Ja Morant, you won Rookie of the Year. That's a big accomplishment. But I'm just saying, you put too much respect on it. Just because you win Rookie of the Year does not mean that you're going to go off and have a great career. Does not mean you're going to be the best player from your draft class. Does not mean you're even going to be a top 5 or top 10 player from your draft class. Same as being the number 1 overall pick, I think. Or at least like a top 3 overall pick. Being the number one overall pick, we've seen through the years, that shit does not always pan out the way it's supposed to pan out. Let's move on now. Speaking of young players, I'll get into my power rankings a bit later. Speaking of young players, let's go. My starting 5 under the age of 25. All right, this will be my starting 5 players. This will be my starting 5 made up of players who are under the age of 25. My starting 5 under the age of 25. I've gone, for me, I'll just get this out in the open. I've gone Luka Doncic, Spida, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, and Nikola Jokic. All right, so for my starting 5, if I were to pick 5 players to make up a starting lineup, and those 5 players have to all be under the age of 25, I'm going Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Tatum, Bam Adebayo, and Nikola Jokic. I think the best player at each position, that is, though, I would swap out Bam, because Bam's, I guess, he's a center more. I would play Bam at the power forward. But the best player at each position under the age of 25, Luka at the 1. And again, it's tough between Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. I lean toward Donovan Mitchell. Again, it's so close. Like if you think Booker's better than Mitchell, like, I don't care. And again, those 2 players are so close. It's not like a clear-cut choice. You know, I never really understand it where it's like, oh, Booker's obviously better than Mitchell. Mitchell's obviously better than Booker. I've never seen that. I think they're very their quality is very similar right there. It'd be nice to see what Devin Booker can do in the playoffs. I guess last year in the bubble, though, Devin Booker was playing in 8 straight Game 7s and won them all, but still didn't make the playoffs because he needed to win every single one of those games. That's pretty cool. Like, literally, when you think about it, in the bubble, the Phoenix Suns played literally the equivalent of playing in 8 straight Game 7s and winning 8 straight Game 7s and still not winning the series because they didn't even make the playoffs in the end. They didn't even make the fucking seeding games in the end. That's tough. But yeah, I mean, Devin Booker, we know he's clutch, but I can't wait to see him in the playoffs. At least Donovan Mitchell, we've seen him in the playoffs. That's the other thing. I think Mitchell's more proven, and that also just comes with playing on a better team. Honestly, I mean, Booker in Phoenix, not the best teams in the entire world. I'm not gonna lie about that. Let's go and again, other players around here. Point guards, Luka, Ja Morant, Ben Simmons. You put any of those 3, I think Luka's a clear-cut choice for the best point guard under the age of 25. But Ja Morant's got a good argument. I wouldn't even say good argument, but like he would be a contender. Him and Ben Simmons are in that sort of category. Shooting guards, it's got to be between Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion. Jason Tatum is really the only small forward that I could reasonably put in there. Zion Williamson as well at power forward. Jokic, Bam, and I'd also shout out to DeAndre Ayton, who I think when you look at what DeAndre Ayton's been doing in the preseason, and again, it's just preseason. Preseason doesn't mean a lot. Anthony Bennett looked good in the preseason. Preseason doesn't mean a lot. But from what I've been seeing, the way that he's been moving and the way that it almost seems like he understands the game a lot more than in years past. DeAndre Ayton, and that obviously that just comes with age. But he's been playing up against the Lakers, and he's not playing like a shitty team. The Lakers were playing a lot of their starters. Both teams were playing a lot of their starters last night and the night before that. When all the starters are in, DeAndre Ayton looks pretty good, and I think he's gonna have a big season. He's a guy who could go out there and win the Most Improved Player of the Year award when it's all said and done in 6-7 months from now, whenever the awards come out. DeAndre Ayton, look out for him to have a big season. I'm excited for that guy for sure. All right, let's move on now to my power rankings. Again, this is not going to be a very long episode. The episodes are going to get, like, for the podcasts, they're going to get longer as we get more stuff to talk about, really. Just right now, it's preseason. If, again, y'all want me to talk about stuff, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to take suggestions or requests. I don't care. I'm down. Let's go through my week 1 NBA power rankings. I'm gonna try to do this every single Saturday. Go through, give you all my power rankings. Again, the way that I rank these teams are, if the team I have in first place can beat every single other team in a 7-game series. The team I have in second place could beat every single other team below them in a 7-game series. Okay, I'm just ranking it off of how I think they would fare out in a 7-game series. Okay, so just because you're the first place in the Eastern Conference, if I don't think that you guys can win a 7-game series against the fucking 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, I'm not gonna put you above them. These are power rankings, not standings. Okay, that's for future reference. I'm probably gonna have to end up repeating that a lot. But yeah, let's go. Let's start with at number 1, because I think it gets more interesting as we go down the list. You know, if you start at 1, I think everyone should have the same team at number 1. The LA Lakers. The Lakers are head and shoulders, I think, above every other team in the NBA right now. The simple fact is when you have LeBron James, who's the best player in the world, you have Anthony Davis, who's arguably a top 5 player in the world. If not, he is definitely a top 5 player in the world. It's tough with Anthony Davis. Where do you rank him? Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I just want to make sure Kawhi Leonard is better than Anthony Davis. That should be, for me, there's no debate about that. Giannis Antetokounmpo, from a talent perspective, I take Giannis over Anthony Davis. Okay, from a talent perspective, has he crumbled in the playoffs? Yes, but this year I still would rather Giannis over Anthony Davis. Kevin Durant, I'll take KD over AD. Stephen Curry, I haven't seen him play in a minute. Probably take Stephen Curry over AD. I wouldn't take James Harden though. But AD's definitely got an argument. He's in that same category. A year ago, I wouldn't have put Anthony Davis in that sort of upper echelon of NBA players. But after seeing what he can do in the NBA playoffs, I'm more than happy to put him up there. But yeah, again, I've heard people say he's the 3rd best player in the world. I would kind of disagree with that. I think Kawhi, KD especially, those are locks to be above Anthony Davis, and it's kind of up to your opinion of where you rank guys like Giannis and Steph Curry and even James Harden, who has been playing he had a really good season last year and played really well in the bubble and in the playoffs as well. So yeah, I go Lakers at the 1 seed. I go Lakers number 1. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the Clippers. They're still a championship caliber team. Any team with Kawhi Leonard is a contender. Just like Kawhi Leonard is one of those guys where if he's on your team, you are a contender. Guys like Kevin Durant, Giannis, LeBron. If those guys are on your team, you are going to be a contender in your conference. Any team with Kawhi Leonard, especially when you pair that up with Paul George, who I think we're overreacting a lot. He's crumbled in the playoffs now a few years in a row. You can't deny that, but at the end of the day, it's still a very talented roster. It's still an incredibly talented roster. They just haven't been making very much noise over the offseason. They did pick up Serge Ibaka, but they haven't been and Luke Kennard, but they haven't been making a ton of noise. But Kawhi Leonard's still gonna be that guy. 3 seed, a third of my power rankings. I'm gonna go with the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn, if you remember, I ranked these guys again in tier 2. I did kind of like the tier rankings. I think my first podcast episode. But the Brooklyn Nets, I've got them 3rd, behind the Lakers, behind the Clippers. Brooklyn, I think the main thing for Brooklyn to look out for is, can Kevin Durant get back to what he was in Golden State a few years ago? Can Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's chemistry be good enough to a point where they can get along and share the basketball and share the productivity? And can the Brooklyn Nets role players, as you call them, guys like Caris LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, can they stay? What's the word I'm looking for? Can they continue to produce on offense? Can they continue to produce, and can they still have a big role on the team? And can they still contribute? That's what I'm looking for. Can the role players on Brooklyn continue to contribute while guys like Kyrie and KD continue to ball out? And can Kevin Durant get back to what he was in Golden State? And I think the last thing for the Brooklyn Nets to look out for is, can Steve Nash handle this basketball team? Can Steve Nash coach these guys through a tough playoff series? That's, I think, the biggest X factor on the Brooklyn Nets, other than Kevin Durant's health. But at this point, after watching a few preseason games, just watching the way he moves around, I think we can agree Kevin Durant, he is not all the way back. I'm not prepared. Like, again, I don't know. He could be, but I'm not prepared to say he's completely the same as what he once was pre-injury, especially on the defensive side of things. But I think the biggest X factor for the Brooklyn Nets right now is, can Steve Kerr coach this team, which a team that's full of guys like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. These aren't quiet guys. They'll voice their opinions. Can Steve Nash coach this team through a very tough, long playoff series? Can he coach this team through an absolute slugfest with the Milwaukee Bucks in the third round of the playoffs come June or whenever the playoffs are? Can Steve Nash get this team together? Can he do that? He's got a guy like Mike D'Antoni to be his right-hand man. Mike D'Antoni's been coaching for a long time. He's known for flaming out in the playoffs, though. But can Steve Nash get it done? And I think that was the big thing in Golden State that Steve Kerr just did not get enough credit for, I don't think. Steve Kerr, we all thought, yeah, anyone can coach the Golden State Warriors. Anyone can coach them. But the reality, the fact of the matter is, when you have that much talent on your team and that much, that much personality on your team and those big egos on your team, it takes a good leader to get them through a long series. It takes a good leader. Steve Kerr, credit where credit is due. It takes a good leader to get the Golden State Warriors through that long series against the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference Finals in 2018. Can Steve Nash be that same leader? Can Steve Nash, against when his team's up against the wall, when the Miami Heat are up 3-2 in the series and got a 10-point lead in Game 6 in Miami with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, can Steve Nash call that timeout? Can he get his team together? Can he get the guys together? That's the big thing that I think that's the biggest X factor. How does Steve Nash, as a head coach, handle his superstars when things aren't going their way? That's my biggest X factor for the Brooklyn Nets. Number 4 on the power rankings, I've gone with the Milwaukee Bucks. I mentioned him already. Giannis, he's one of those guys. KD, Kawhi, LeBron. If he's on your team, they're a contender. You'll notice my top 4 teams, those are the players that I keep mentioning. Giannis, KD, Kawhi, and LeBron. Those are the 4 guys. I think, in my opinion, they are the 4 most important players in the NBA. Anthony Davis is up there too. Steph Curry, I'm not going to lie, I don't really trust him without Klay Thompson. I just don't. I hope he proves me wrong. They're probably going to play that clip at the end of the year after Steph Curry's just gone off and led Golden State to the third round or some shit like that. But I don't trust Stephen Curry as much as I think a lot of people do. He's going to put up great stats. That's not like he put up 33 points a game. I can see that shit happening. But as far as in a playoff series, I just don't trust him. I don't trust him. But again, Giannis, Kawhi, LeBron, and Kevin Durant are the 4 most important players in the NBA. Those are the 4, the 4 horsemen. If you have one of those players in your basketball team, you are immediately a contender in your conference. That's why for my power rankings, I've gone with the Lakers at 1, Clippers at 2, Nets at 3, and the Milwaukee Bucks at 4. When you have those 4 guys on your team, you are immediately a significantly better playoff team and a significantly better basketball team. Giannis has crumbled in the playoffs. Kawhi just came off. He didn't play very well in those last 2 games in the playoffs, but I still trust him. Maybe that's my fault, but I still trust those guys. I think they're good enough. They got enough talent. Moving on, let's go number 5. I've gone with the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets are a team that they surprise pretty much everybody. Let's be real. They surprise a lot of people. like I'd say 90% of the population of the basketball community. They surprised us all when they beat the Clippers, when they came back. This team's got heart, and for literally right now at this point in time, I still trust that as far as young duos go, I still trust Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic over a young duo like Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis in a long playoff series because we've seen them do it. I think Luka's a better talent than both Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I think everyone thinks that. That's common knowledge by now. The biggest X factor is, can Kristaps Porzingis stay healthy? But even if he can stay healthy, I think Jamal Murray, he's got the clutch gene. Jamal Murray has the clutch gene, and so does Nikola Jokic. Jokic has hit a lot of big shots. Last year, he had a lot of game winners. And Jamal Murray in the playoffs, he hit a lot of massive shots for the Denver Nuggets. Those two players are clutch, and I know Luka's clutch, Kristaps clutch, but I just don't know if it's on that level. I honestly don't know if Luka's on that same clutch tier as a guy like Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray. He could be. From what I've seen, I haven't seen it yet. He's almost there. I'm not gonna he's like I said, he's a better talent. I'd rather have Luka on my team than Jamal or Jokic. But as a duo and as the heart, I don't like you can get under Luka Doncic's skin. That's almost the scouting report on Luka. I'd say that's almost his one flaw with defense, is you can get under his skin. The Denver Nuggets, though, the thing that's holding them back, there's really not a lot holding the Denver Nuggets back, but the one concern I have with them, I guess, is defense. Offense is fine. Offense is fine, but it's on the defensive side of things. Can they get it done on defense? The Miami Heat, I've got them at number 6. Miami's gotten better, and I would like to preface this. This is with their current roster. Forget where James Harden goes. Because after James Harden gets a trade, if he gets traded to the Miami Heat, to the Philadelphia 76ers, to wherever, this is going to look a little bit differently. But as the roster stands right now, the Miami Heat, I trust them a lot. We saw what they did in the playoffs last year. Jimmy Butler, I think he's gotten better. Guys, and the Heat were a really young team. Bam Adebayo. There's no way he hasn't gotten better. Tyler Hero was a rookie last year. He's gotten better. Duncan Robinson, his confidence. For three-point shooters, a lot of times it's your confidence. That's what happened to Danny Green, I think. Danny Green was an absolute sniper back when he played on the San Antonio Spurs. Last year, his confidence went out the window. His confidence went out the window. And Duncan Robinson, there was times throughout the playoffs where he was scared to shoot, it looked like. He wouldn't shoot the 3-ball. But when Duncan Robinson's confidence is there and when he's clicking, he is a sniper. He's one of the best top 5, top 3 sniper in the NBA when it comes to 3-point shooting. Duncan Robinson's an absolute sniper. And quickly on Jimmy Butler too, I think Jimmy Butler, he's only gotten better. He's gotten more experienced. When I say Jimmy Butler's gotten better, a lot of Jimmy Butler's game does not revolve around scoring the basketball, does not revolve around like being an actual talent. When I say Butler's gotten better, I mean he's gotten more valuable to his team, I think. Because for Jimmy Butler, what he does best, he brings leadership. He brings the intangibles that most players don't have. Most players don't have the leadership of Jimmy Butler. Most players, they're not willing to guard LeBron James for an entire NBA Finals game, only sit 48 seconds, and still be going 100 miles an hour down the stretch and still be able to, despite your being tired, still be able to hit those tough game-winning shots. Jimmy Butler, he's got the intangibles. He's not going to put up big stats. He's not going to do it. Similar to Chris Paul. Chris Paul is still very valuable. Jimmy Butler is very valuable to their team. They're not going to give you big stats. They're not going to give you 25, 30 points a game. That's not what they do. What they give you is leadership. They'll put their arm around a young guy and get him through a tough game. They'll put their arm around Jimmy Butler. He'll go up to Duncan Robinson. He'll talk him through a tough game. He'll get him through a tough game 6 against the Boston Celtics. He'll get him through a tough game 5 against the LA Lakers in the NBA Finals. That's what they do. And when you're a coach, I think having those guys around you is so important when you're a young team. That's why I think OKC Thunder, they thrived last year. They did better than we all expected because the young players played better than we all expected. And a big part of that is Chris Paul. Chris Paul did so much for the young players, and of course Chris Paul absolutely balled out on his own. But that's the thing is very underrated, I think, in our game is leadership. And you notice that too. You wonder why are the Lakers paying a guy like Jared Dudley? Why are the Lakers giving Jared Dudley any money? Why did the Lakers sign Marc Gasol, who's clearly washed? Marc Gasol is washed. Why are they signing players like that? It's not because they want them to go out there and play in a big game. It's not because they want them to go out there and close out a big game. It's for leadership purposes. It's for the locker room. You can impact a team by not playing. You can do that. It's at practice when Jared Dudley, you can bet your bottom dollar that Jared Dudley, he is constantly going 100 miles an hour at practice, and that's what's making all the young guys better. You know what I mean? That's what he's keeping the energy level high. I can promise you that's what these veterans do. And again, I've obviously never been to a Lakers practice, but that's my speculation. And from what I've seen, what I've heard, that's why teams sign older veterans who have been through it, who know what it takes. Let's move on to the Boston Celtics. I've got them at number 7, and the Celtics, I could see them moving up here. I could see the Celtics in the NBA Finals, honestly. I could see the Bucks, Nets, Celtics, Heat. One of those 4 teams I think are coming out of the East. I could honestly see it being any one of them. I'm leaning Brooklyn, but I could see Boston in there too. Boston, I think they didn't do as well in free agency as they could have. They had a chance at Evan Turner, and if Miles Turner. Boston definitely had a chance at Miles Turner. If they got him from Indiana, that would have been a scary sight to see. As good as Daniel Tice is, I mean, he's not the same player as Miles Turner is, especially, I mean, on defense. Miles Turner, he's such an underrated defender. The amount of I think he led the league in blocks per game last year, or the year before that. He's a defensive anchor in the paint right there. The Boston Celtics, though, despite them not doing as much as they definitely could have in free agency, they've still gotten better simply because of their roster being made up of such young players. Young players just get better year after year. Jason Tatum, as good as he was last year, he's still going to get better and better for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Jaylen Brown's definitely gotten better. Marcus Smart's gotten better. This team as a whole, they've gotten better, and I think getting rid of Gordon Hayward is not a big deal. I mean, obviously Gordon Hayward's a great basketball player. He's not good to the value of fucking $125 million over 4 years. He's not that good, or whatever his contract was. But he's still a good basketball player. But I think that Kemba Walker's gonna be playing a big role for the Celtics, similar to what Chris Paul did last year at OKC. Kemba Walker's gonna be that guy. He's gonna give up scoring. And I've praised Kemba Walker so much on this show because he does not get enough respect and credit for the sacrifices that he makes to the Boston Celtics. You know, Kemba Walker. We know that Kemba Walker, like Trae Young, Kemba can put up 30 a night. We've seen him do it. I think he put up, 25, 26 a night in Charlotte the year before he went to Boston. But we've seen Kemba Walker. We know he can score the basketball. We know he can get his. But for him to go to Boston and then take a back seat to Jason Tatum, say, hey, Tatum, this is your basketball team. I'm just here for your support. And the thing is, Kemba's still going to give you 20 a night. He's still going to give you 21, 22 points a game. He's still going to be an efficient scorer. He's still going to get you big points. He's still an absolute bucket. And he's leading this young team, I think. I think he's a good voice in the locker room. I'm not 100% sure on that. But those are my thoughts on the Boston Celtics. Moving on to the number 8 for the 8th ranking, I'm going with the Dallas Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic, who I think will win the MVP. The main thing that's holding him back, I think, is can his team get into the top 3 in the Western Conference as far as the standings go? Because very rarely does the MVP winner come from a team that isn't top 3 in their conference. I think Dallas, they probably could get there. I think they could be a top 3 seed in the West, definitely top 4, 5, which would probably be good enough for Luka Doncic. Dallas, though, I think the big thing for them is, can Kristaps Porzingis stay healthy in the playoffs, and of course, Luka Doncic, can he stay healthy? He's had a little bit of injuries, and can their defense get better? The Dallas Mavericks, their defense is shit. For a playoff, that's a big reason why I don't think they could beat the Clippers. In the Clippers, the Clippers series in the first round, I think LA put up like 158 points in them in one game. Like, for the playoffs, that is garbage. You can't do that. You cannot give up that many points in a big playoff game. The thing with the NBA is that despite the average points a game going up and up and up over the past few years, over the past decade, really it's like the amount of points that are being scored in each game, especially in the regular season, continues to go higher and higher. 10 years ago, teams were not averaging over 100 points a game. That was not a thing. Now, if you're not averaging over 105 points a game, your offense is in the fucking bin. It's trash. It's trash. But the same thing wins playoff series. The same thing. The same thing that's always worked in the playoffs continues to work in 2020. Scoring continues to get more and more. Teams continue to score more and more points. And you know, look, throughout the regular season, teams are putting up 130, 140, 150 points. Throughout the first 4 or 5 games of a playoff series, teams are putting up 140 points. You see those types of games. Teams are still putting up 110, 120 points in big playoff games, in big playoff series. But the thing is, despite scoring continuing to rise throughout the NBA, when it comes down to it in those big games, I'm talking about the big game 6s, the big game 7s, especially game 7s, very, very rarely will a team get over 100 points. I off the top of my head, I can't think of a game 7 in recent history where both teams got over 100 points. And there definitely have been, but I like all the notable game 7s. You think of the Toronto Philadelphia game 7. They didn't get over 100 points. 2016 game 7 in the NBA Finals, not over 100 points. I think game 7 in 2018, the Warriors got over 100 points against the Houston Rockets. But go look at game 7s from years past. Despite scoring skyrocketing over the past decade, the amount of points that are scored in game 7s continues to be less than 100 for both teams. Defense still wins you championships. Look at the Lakers. At the end of the day, the Lakers, as good as they were on offense, I think the biggest thing for them against the Miami Heat was their defense was amazing. They went big against Denver. They went big against Houston. They didn't even need to go big against Houston, but against Denver they went big, and against the Miami Heat they went big. They got guys like Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis. They clogged the lane, and the defense stepped up. Defense still wins championships still, which is nice to see, despite the scoring continuing to rise and rise and rise. I've put Dallas at number 8. At number 9, I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is tough. Number 9 and 10, I'm going with Phoenix and Portland. It's tough. I can see Golden State in there. I think Portland, they're a nice team. I think they've improved a lot from last year. I'm excited to see what Damian Lillard can do. Whenever you have a fully healthy Portland Trailblazers, they've been pretty good in the regular season. They've been a 3 seed, I think 3 of the past 4 years. Not 100% sure on that. But with a healthy Portland Trailblazers, a healthy CJ, healthy Dame, healthy Nurkic, they added Robert Covington, their head coach as well, Scott, I think his name is. Very good head coach. This is a good team. This is a very good team. I could see him winning a first-round series. It's going to be tough, but I can see him winning a first-round series. Phoenix have gotten 9th. Not a lot to talk about for the Phoenix Suns. I think if Chris Paul can give the Suns 80% of what he gave the OKC Thunder last year, and if Devin Booker can continue to ball out the way he did, I wouldn't even say in the bubble because that's a lot to ask for him. But I'd say if he can ball out to the tune of 90% what he did in the bubble, the Suns are in a really good situation to not only make the playoffs, but even potentially win a playoff series. That's my top 10. That's my preseason Week 1 NBA Power Rankings. Every Saturday I'm going to do these. To quickly recap my top 10. At number 10, I'm going with the Portland Trailblazers. At 9, I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. At 8, the Dallas Mavericks. At 7, the Boston Celtics. At 6, the Miami Heat. At 5, the Denver Nuggets. At 4, the Milwaukee Bucks. At 3, the Brooklyn Nets. At 2, the LA Clippers. At 1, the LA Lakers. Those are my preseason power rankings based solely on who can beat who in a 7-game series. For example, I've got the Nuggets at number 5. I think the Nuggets could beat the number 8 seed, the number 8 team I've got here, the Dallas Mavericks, in a 7-game series, but I don't think they could beat the 4 teams ahead of them. That is my Week 1 power rankings, ladies and gentlemen. And that should do it for today's episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, whatever it may be, I genuinely appreciate it. Honestly, it means the world. I love doing this, honestly. I'm going to continue to do these. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Subscribe, whatever you want to do. I don't really care. Actually, I do. It'd be sick if you do. Subscribe, but whatever. Mike Dean, Kanye, take him to church one time.
Let me get more volume. Da, da.